welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something I think a lot of English learners face. That feeling of understanding English pretty well.
Like reading or listening comprehension is fine.
Exactly. But then, actually speaking, that confidence just isn't quite there. Maybe you know the grammar, got the vocab, but actually talking feels like this massive hurdle.
It's super common, and sometimes there's this anxiety about making mistakes.
Totally. So what we've done is gather, about 20 different strategies, really practical things you can do at home, no teacher needed, to actually boost your spoken English.
Yeah, and what's great about these is how accessible they are. We're not talking about expensive courses here. It's more about weaving these simple practices into your everyday life.
Right. So our mission today is to really dig into these 20 methods, pull out the best bits, the most actionable steps you can take, like right now, to start speaking more fluently and hopefully feeling better about it.
Absolutely. Getting that confidence up. Let's jump in.
Okay, let's do it. So our first big category here is about active speaking practice. Stuff you can do completely on your own, no partner needed.
Right.
And the first one is talking to yourself. Now, I know that might sound a little weird.
Yeah, it might. But, think about it like this. It's a totally zero pressure zone.
Okay.
You can try out sentences, play with words you just learned, basically rehearse without worrying about anyone judging you.
Like a practice run with no audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can start really simple, like just narrate what you're doing. Okay, I'm brushing my teeth now. Or, what should I make for breakfast?
I'm making coffee. Simple stuff.
Yeah. It just starts building that habit of thinking and, crucially, forming thoughts in English, not just translating.
Right, connecting the thought directly to the English words. Okay, that makes sense. Next up, recording your voice. This one, I imagine, might make people feel a bit awkward.
Oh, for sure. Hearing your own voice, especially in another language, can be a bit cringeworthy at first for some people. But the payoff is huge. The idea is simple. Record yourself talking for maybe, a minute or two about your day, a hobby, anything.
Just a short monologue.
Right. Then, and this is the important part, you listen back. Critically, but kindly. It's like getting direct feedback on your pronunciation, your fluency, maybe even your pauses. You become your own coach, in a way.
Spotting things you wouldn't notice otherwise, like your own personal progress tracker.
Exactly. You can really hear where you're improving over time.
Okay, I can see the value in that, even if it takes some getting used to. All right, the next one sounds fun. Reading aloud, but with emotion.
Yes. This isn't just about, droning through a text.
Right, not just word recognition.
No, it's about bringing it to life. Vary your tone, maybe try different character voices if it's dialogue. Have fun with it.
So how does the emotion part actually help your speaking?
Well, a few ways. On a physical level, you often have to articulate more clearly when you're trying to convey feeling. It pushes your fluency because you start getting the natural rhythm and flow. And honestly, it builds confidence. You get more comfortable with the performance aspect of speaking.
Making it less robotic.
Yeah, and it actually helps you remember things better too. Linking language to feeling makes vocabulary and structure stick more than just, rote learning.
Okay, definitely sounds more engaging. Number 4 is thinking in English. This feels like a big one. A real mental shift.
It absolutely is. It's moving away from that constant back and forth translation in your head.
Wow.
From your native language to English, English back to your native language.
That internal middleman.
Exactly. The sources suggest starting small. Think about your to-do list for the day, but do it in English, or when you're cooking, think about the ingredients in English.
Okay, I need onions, garlic, like that.
Precisely. It seems minor, but you're actually retraining your brain to just operate in English more directly. It's fundamental for sounding more natural.
Cutting out that translation step. Got it. Okay, next. Starting a speaking journal. But wait, journals are usually written, right? This is different.
It is. Same concept, reflecting on your day, thoughts, feelings, but instead of writing it down, you speak it out loud. Maybe record it, maybe not, but the key is verbalizing it.
Okay. So it's like the talking to yourself idea, but maybe a bit more structured, like a daily reflection.
Sort of, yeah. And because you're speaking spontaneously, you're actively using vocab, building sentences on the fly. It helps develop fluency and sentence structure in a really organic way, maybe more than writing sometimes.
Focusing purely on the spoken output. Interesting twist. And the last one in this solo practice category, practicing role plays.
This one's super practical.
Yeah, it sounds like direct preparation for real life.
Totally. You simulate common situations, ordering in a restaurant, asking for directions, maybe even a job interview snippet.
Hi, can I get a table for 2? Or, Yes, I'm very interested in this position.
Exactly. The source even gave examples like that, and others like, I'm a motivated team player. It gets you comfortable using the right phrases in a safe space.
So when the real situation comes up, you're less likely to freeze.
Precisely. It reduces that anxiety and gives you a confidence boost because you've been there before mentally.
Okay, that covers the solo stuff. Now, let's move into category 2. Using external resources. Things outside of just you and your thoughts.
Right, leveraging what's out there.
First up is shadowing. Using YouTube or podcasts, I've heard about this. It's where you speak along with the speaker, right? Not after them.
Exactly that. Simultaneous repetition. You're trying to match their pronunciation, their rhythm, their intonation, the whole music of their speech in real time.
That sounds challenging.
It can be at first, but it's incredibly effective because it trains your ears, mouth, and brain to work together in a way that just listening doesn't quite achieve. Linguists call it matching the prosody.
Prosody, okay.
The source suggests starting with maybe just 10 minutes a day. Find a TED Talk you like or a YouTuber whose accent you want to emulate.
And just mimic them as they go.
Yep. Over time, it really helps with your own speaking speed and clarity.
10 minutes seems doable. Okay, next. English-speaking apps. There are tons now, like Elsa Speak, Hello Talk, Tandem. What's the big advantage here?
Well, a lot of them offer really specific feedback, especially on pronunciation, like AI that can tell you exactly where you're going wrong on a certain sound.
Instant correction.
Yeah, which is super valuable. Plus, they often have structured lessons or ways to connect with other learners or native speakers for actual conversation practice.
So they're kind of like having a little coach in your pocket.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, portable practice and connection.
Cool. Then we've got watching and imitating TV shows and movies. This has got to be one of the more enjoyable methods.
Definitely. But the key is active imitation, not just passive watching.
Right. So not just understanding the plot.
No. You pick a character, maybe someone whose way of speaking you like, and you actually try to mimic them. Their voice, their intonation, even their expressions or mannerisms if you want.
So you're absorbing the whole package, tone, rhythm, attitude.
Exactly. It goes way beyond just vocab. The source mentioned shows like Friends or The Office, Modern Family, shows with pretty clear dialogue.
Good examples.
And the tip is to work with short scenes. Watch, pause, imitate, repeat. Really try to capture the nuances. It's almost like language-focused acting.
Getting into character to learn the language. I like it. Okay, next resource. Joining online speaking communities.
Yeah, think WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, Discord servers, places where people gather specifically to practice English.
So finding your tribe online.
Pretty much. The big plus here is just consistent, low-stakes practice in a supportive space. You get exposed to different accents, different ways of saying things.
And you have to actually use your English to communicate.
Right. And there are more and more free options too, like Zoom conversation clubs, connecting people globally. It makes practice really accessible.
It breaks down those geographical barriers.
Yeah.
Good point. We also have listening to slow, clear English podcasts.
These are often podcasts designed for learners.
Like The English We Speak or Speak English with Tiffany, those examples.
Exactly. They usually speak a bit slower, enunciate clearly, and might explain tricky vocab.
So what's the main goal here? Just passive listening.
It's mostly about comprehensible input, filling your ears with English that you can actually understand fairly easily. You can integrate it into your day chores, walks, commuting.
Creating that immersive soundscape.
Yeah, just getting your brain constantly tuned into the sounds and rhythms of English, even when you're not actively studying.
Makes sense. Keep the input flowing. Okay, slightly different angle. Watching English news and repeating headlines.
This one's clever, combines practice with staying informed.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly. You watch short news clips, and you focus specifically on repeating the headlines out loud, trying to match the anchor's clarity and intonation.
News anchors usually have very clear speech, don't they?
They do. They're trained for it. So they're great models. Plus, you're picking up current events vocabulary at the same time.
It's efficient.
Yeah.
And the final resource in this section, using AI tools or chatbots, like ChatGPT voice mode or Google Assistant.
This is relatively new, but super powerful.
How so?
Well, think about it. You have a conversation partner available 24/7.
True.
And crucially, it's completely non-judgmental. You can ask it to repeat things, you can stumble over your words, practice the same phrase 10 times. The AI doesn't care.
Infinite patience.
Exactly. It's fantastic for just getting comfortable speaking, trying things out without any fear of embarrassment. Great for building that initial confidence.
A tireless practice buddy. Okay, that wraps up the external resources. Let's shift to our third category. Focused learning and, importantly, mindset.
Right, the underlying approach.
First point here. Learn full sentences, not just single words. Why is that so key?
Because that's how people actually speak. We talk in chunks, in phrases, in full ideas.
Not just isolated words.
Right. So instead of just learning the word hungry, learn the whole phrase like, oh, I'm starving, let's grab something to eat.
Ah, okay. You get the context and the natural flow.
Exactly. You learn the vocabulary and context, plus you absorb the rhythm, the common collocations, words that naturally go together, and even idioms.
Yeah.
It makes your English sound much more natural, less like a textbook.
Less like you're translating word by word.
Got it.
Next. Creating a daily speaking routine. We touched on consistency earlier.
Yes, and this drills down on it. It's about actually scheduling time for speaking practice, like putting it in your calendar. 7:30 p.m., 15 minutes of English speaking.
Making it a habit.
A non-negotiable habit.
Yeah.
The source emphasizes that what you do in that time slot can vary. Talk to yourself, read aloud, use an app, call someone. But the key is establishing the routine itself.
Training your brain to expect it.
Precisely. Consistency really is king in language learning.
Okay. Then building on that, setting speaking goals every week. What kind of goals work best?
Small, specific, achievable ones. The example given was great. This week, I want to be able to confidently introduce myself and talk about my hobbies for 2 minutes.
Okay, measurable and focused.
Exactly. Not just get better at speaking. That's too vague. Having a clear weekly target gives you direction.
And a sense of accomplishment when you hit it.
Absolutely. And that motivates you to set the next small goal. It breaks down the huge task of fluency into manageable steps.
It makes the whole journey feel less daunting.
Yeah.
Good tip. Next technique. Using mirrors for pronunciation practice. Another one that might feel odd initially.
Maybe a little, but it's about getting visual feedback.
Seeing what your mouth is doing.
Yeah. You stand in front of a mirror and watch your mouth, lips, tongue as you make English sounds. Are they matching what you think they should be doing or what you see native speakers do?
So you can physically see if you're forming the sound correctly, for instance?
Exactly. It helps you connect the sound with the physical action and build that muscle memory. Plus, you become more aware of facial expressions, body language. It all ties into confident speaking.
Understanding the mechanics. Okay. Then we have learning the music of English. Sounds a bit poetic. What does that mean practically?
It refers to rhythm, stress, and intonation. English has a distinct musicality. It's not monotone.
Where you put the emphasis matters.
Hugely. The source used that classic example. I didn't say she stole the money versus I didn't say she stole the money versus I didn't say she stole the money.
Same words, totally different meanings depending on the stress.
Exactly. Understanding and using this music, where to stress words, how your voice should rise and fall at the end of questions or statements, makes your English sound so much more natural and expressive.
Adds that layer of meaning beyond just the words. Very important. Okay, next point. It's a big nerve for many. Being okay with making mistakes.
Oh, this is fundamental. Fear of errors is probably the single biggest barrier holding people back from speaking.
That paralysis.
Totally. You have to somehow reframe mistakes. They're not failures. They're proof you're trying. They're how you learn.
Stepping stones, really.
Exactly. And, you know, even native speakers make mistakes all the time. We misspeak, use the wrong word. It happens. The goal isn't perfection.
It's communication.
Right. So be brave, speak up, even if it's not perfect. Proud and loud, as they say.
Love that. Mistakes mean you're in the game.
Okay, and the final point in this mindset section. Celebrating your progress. Even the small wins.
Yes. This is so crucial for staying motivated. Language learning is a long journey.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Definitely. So you have to acknowledge the small victories along the way. Did you practice today when you didn't feel like it? Celebrate that. Did you use a new phrase correctly? Awesome. Did you understand a bit more of that podcast? Great.
Pat yourself on the back.
Absolutely. Recognizing that progress, however small, reinforces the habit and keeps you going. It fuels that positive cycle. Practice, progress, motivation, more practice. Building that momentum makes total sense. Wow, okay. That was, well, quite the deep dive.
Yeah.
20 really solid strategies there for improving spoken English at home.
Yeah, it really covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? From the very internal stuff like thinking in English to using tech to the all-important mindset.
It's actually really empowering, I think. Seeing that you don't necessarily need a formal class or a teacher living nearby, there's so much you can do on your own.
Absolutely. What stands out when you look at them all together is how they tackle speaking from different angles, the physical act of pronunciation, the mental process of forming thoughts, the social aspect of communication, the emotional side of confidence.
This whole package.
It really is. And it shows that becoming a confident speaker is definitely achievable with, dedication and the right approach.
So for you listening, what does all this boil down to? Well, it means improving your spoken English is genuinely within your reach. It doesn't have to mean huge changes or spending lots of money. It's more about being consistent, being a bit creative with these techniques, and finding that courage to just start. Start speaking, even if it's just to yourself at first.
And remembering that perfection isn't the aim here.
Not at all. The goal is clear communication, getting your ideas across, feeling confident doing it.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to take away. As you've heard about all these different methods, the self-talk, the shadowing, the apps, the mindset shifts, which one or two really jumped out at you? Like, which ones made you think, okay, I could actually try that, or that sounds like it might fit my style?
That's a good question to ponder.
Maybe just pick one or two at most, and commit to trying just that technique consistently for the next week. See what happens. That little bit of focused experimentation might just be the spark you need for your next breakthrough in speaking.